Other coder. Well, we've now approached the creation of our first Hello World Java program, and in this video we'll also analyze the basic components of any Java program, including the public static void main string args mantra. So let's get on with it, shall we? You've probably heard some whispers about the epic public static void main that frightens noobs and turns them towards Python or that language ending with script. But this method is nothing more than an entry point into our program, and thanks to this fella the compiler can find a launching point of the program. Just like in any class file, there can be only one class marked public, with a name matching the name of the file. In a typical Java program, there must be such an entry point that tells the compiler this is where it all begins. The only exception can be when you use a framework that takes care of all that jazz. You can also write as many of these main methods as you like, with completely different arguments, but it is the method with an argument in the form of an array of strings that will be considered by the Java compiler as the entry point into the program. And methods, well, they're just methods. Although it's still possible to write main method in several different ways, for example moving square brackets or replacing them with ellipses denoting varargs, or swap static for final or synchronize. As part of this course for beginners, we'll be focusing on widely acceptable standard. Remember, learn to walk before you run. Let's strip this main method apart and check what's inside. So by convention, the argument in the main method is called args. Although this is not a compulsory name at all, this is just a convention. Public means that this method, as it is not difficult to imagine, is publicly available. We'll have a separate video on access modifiers a little bit later in this course. Static, we'll study this concept in depth later in this course, but for now just accept that it means something like the main method belongs to its class entirely, and we do not need to create an instance of that class in order to instantiate this method. This will also matter when we run our program, and Java won't need to create an object of a class containing the entry point for our program. Instead, the JVM will head directly to the main method, and this is only possible because we have defined our main method as static. The concept behind the return type, namely its absence, void, distinguishes Java from other languages, where the main method after starting a program could return literally a number to the operating system, indicating whether the program was launched successfully or not. In particular, 0 will mean success, and any other number will correspond to a problem. With this regard, Java is different because it does not always interrupt and terminate the execution process if the launch fails, especially if the program uses threads, and it continues its execution after the main method itself has finished. And if this is the case and we need to control what code will the program submit to the operating system upon exiting, there is a separate method in Java called system.exit. Conveniently, the main method must always be called main, and there are no variations on this at all. Moreover, it must always be written starting with a lowercase letter. Alright, so let's launch our masterpiece, but first we need to make a choice on how we'll do that. We can use our wonderful IDE and its functionality in the form of a button or a run command, but for those who want to get a grip of how it's done when there is no convenient tool such as IDE at hand, we can do it in a plain old Java fashion and use the console. Since the Java program, as you remember, works from the inside of JVM, what we need to do first is we need to compile it, and to do so we type javac and the name of the file with extension Java. So the full command looks like this: Java hello world, where hello world is the name of the file containing the main method. And please note that Java is a case sensitive language, that is sensitive to whether we input lowercase or uppercase letters. Therefore, hello world with a capital H and hello world with a so-called camel case will be treated as two different files. It is also worth noting that when we say the file name, we mean the so-called fully qualified name of the public class, in our case containing the main method. This is how the Hello World program looks like in Java, and in fact all that it does is just printing to the console the argument of the system.out.println method, and it is a string enclosed between the two quotes, Hello World. But we can also pass any other arguments like the string avocado or number 42, or even better, we can tell the program to output to the console whatever we supply as arguments, together with the instruction to run the program. As you remember, the main method is not only the entry point to our program and will be used to run it, this method also accepts an array of strings as an input. So I can change the program and tell system.out.println to display the same args, only now I need to indicate that these are not just args, but the first element of the array. And after that I can save the program, recompile with the javac command and run it with the java command. And now I can specify these arguments, for example, avcoda. The next section of this video will be a practical task, a very simple test for you just to get a grip of how the theoretical videos will be complemented by the practical exercises, which we'll use a website called Hackerrank for. And hopefully such approach will solidify your understanding of these concepts. Okay, so we're here now on the website called Hackerrank. They don't pay me, this is not a product placement or anything, it's just a convenient place where we can find a lot of challenges for Java, for instance, and we're going to solve our first challenge, which is going to be dedicated to Hello World. So in here we have a description of a problem, then the input format, what the program going to take as an input, and what are we expected to see when the program gonna output. So we need to write a simple hello world using a system.out.println method. So let's get on with it. We're gonna go down to the interactive IDE, where we can see the class solution and the method main. So we're going to start typing system.out.println, and in here we need to type hello world. So let's do it. Hello world. Please bear in mind that you need to be really precise in sense of what are you typing, what exactly are you typing, because the IDE in Hackerrank gonna assess every single comma, every single letter. So here we can choose the version of Java. Let's run the code, and success, sample test case 0. So we're going to submit the code, and as I said, this is really simple task. This is just to show you how the theoretical and practical tasks going to be binded together on our Java course. So please give this video Emperor's thumbs up, toll the bell and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Cheers.